Hello, I'm Richard Blackaby, and I'm president of Blackaby Ministries International. And as we approach this Christmas season, so many things are swirling about us on the news and across society. So many things in 2020 that have been troubling. I see many Christians who are filled with anxious thoughts, worried about the future, concerned about the nation. And certainly there are reasons to be concerned. COVID-19 continues to spike and to spread. And so many questions about what lies ahead in the future, politically and socially, culturally. But I think at Christmas time, once a year, we're reminded again that in another very dark time, where there was all kinds of question and confusion and concern, an angel came with some very good news. And in Luke chapter 2, verse 8, it says, "In the same region, shepherds were staying out in the fields and keeping watch at night over the flock." And I think it's so interesting that when the greatest news ever given took place, the angels began by telling some people working a night shift, ordinary working people who had no control over the government, had no control over the economy, working people in the night shift, concerned about the fact that the Roman Empire was controlling their country, worried about the way culture was being affected by the Romans over their Jewish culture, worried about the economy and just making a living. So many questions swirling about. And then suddenly an angel appears. And verse 9, it says, "The angel of the Lord stood before them." And I almost get the sense that God felt like if I'm going to help encourage these people, I'm going to have to put an angel right in front of them and get their attention and let them know there's a whole lot more to the story than what you've been reading about in the paper or watching on the news. And the angel said, first of all, as he typically would do, he said, "Don't be afraid." And the glory of the Lord shone around them. And I'll tell you what, there's just nothing quite like the glory of the Lord shining on a church, on a person, on a nation. The glory of the Lord changes everything. The light of God dispels darkness. It makes things clear once again. And when that glory of the Lord shone, the shepherds were terrified, and the angel had to say, "Don't be afraid." For some of us, we need an encounter with God of that magnitude. We don't just need a warm, fuzzy devotional thought, as my father would often say. We need a divine encounter. An encounter where all of a sudden we see God so clearly that all the things we've seen on the news, all the broadcasts, all the internet scuttlebutt evaporates before the shining, bright, glory light of God as we encounter Him. And all of a sudden, all we really see that matters is what God has to say. And there the angel said, "Look, I proclaim to you good news of great joy that will be for all people." And I hope that you'll just be reminded that the gospel is just as great of news and has just as great of joy as it had 2,000 years ago. It still has a way of breaking through the darkness, of making things clear, of helping us know what really matters and what doesn't matter. And I think that if there was ever a time where that gospel message needs to be proclaimed once again, it's in our day. And you and I as Christians, we know the good news. We know what God has said. It's not changed. It's not lost any of its power or impact through all the different generations. And so as we celebrate in this Christmas season, we may be living in a world that's quite complex and challenging, but this same gospel message will have just as much impact today as it's ever had. And certainly in this time, we need to be sharing that good news, living that good news, believing that good news like we never have before. And my prayer for each of you, as you've been a part of the Blackaby Ministries family and ministry over the years, my prayer for you is that despite all the hardships perhaps you and your family have been through in COVID, or all the different challenges you faced economically and socially through what's happened this year, my prayer is you'll still experience that joy of the Lord that surpasses understanding, that can go into the darkest place and bring joy and contentment and peace. And I pray that's what you'll experience this year. I pray that there'll be laughter filling your home over this season, and that if you have kids or grandkids, when they're around you, they'll see what the joy of the Lord really looks like. And they'll realize that although times can be challenging and difficult, with God, all things are possible. With God, there's always hope. With God, there's always another chapter in the story. And so I pray that as you enter into 2021, you'll live that way and you'll model that for all the people that are a part of your life. And may this, despite all the problems and challenges that you face, may this Christmas season be an unusually special and memorable one for you as you focus again on the good news of Jesus Christ and his birth some 2,000 years ago.